Actor Jeremy Pope, I'd put 10 on him too, is being called Broadway's MVP. Why? Because he is the first black man in Tony history to earn 2 separate acting nominations in the same season. Think about that for a second. The nominations are for his performances in the play Choir Boy and the musical Ain't Too Proud, The Life and Times of the Temptations. It's really good. We met him at the Copacabana the other day. Copacabana.
I like the Coco Cabana.
Copacabana. That's how it's pronounced. In New York City's Times Square the other day. We also then stopped by the Imperial Theater, where he now performs 8 times a week as Eddie Kendricks, one of the Temptations founders.
That must never get old, does it?
It surely doesn't.
It was an emotional moment when 26-year-old Jeremy Pope discovered that he was up for not 1, but 2 Tony nominations.
When both of them came, the tears, began to swell. And I feel like both productions got shown so much love.
Yeah. Why did the tears come at that moment for you?
The tears came, I think, because of the sacrifice. I just felt kind of like a release of like, you did good, and we'll continue to keep working towards bigger and better.
Lord, I couldn't hear no. Growing up in Orlando, Florida, Pope says it was high school where he caught the theater bug.
I had to choose between running track or doing the school musical, and I thought I'd just audition for it, and I ended up getting like a lead part in Cats.
What role were you in Cats?
I was Skimbleshanks in Cats. And my dad made my costume.
Your dad made the costume?
It was
funny.
An orange fluorescent tight. It was just one leotard, and he spray painted it and gave it, some pizzazz.
Thank you, Dad.
Thank you, Dad.
How old were you when you said, I'm coming to New York?
I was 17. When I had to sit down, talk at the dinner table, and was like, I think I want to go to New York.
Weren't they expecting you to go to college?
They were expecting me to go to college.
What was that talk like, Jeremy?
It was very quiet. I was very nervous because I didn't, you try to, I remember I was in my room and like, okay, what's the plan? They're gonna say this, how are you gonna pay for it? Where are you gonna live? I was ready for all those questions, and while I had some of the answers, most of the answers were a question mark. But I just knew in my gut there was a fire, there was something that was telling me I needed to go out there and get what was mine.
Clearly you were confident.
I was confident, and that I knew I would work my butt off to make something happen. At the time, there weren't a lot of Broadway shows that I saw myself represented in. It was like I could be Simba in Lion King. But I knew I'd get here and just work and figure it out.
Paul and Silas.
Pope was first cast as Ferris in Choir Boy.
I need to be put down, put out.
A role that he calls deeply personal and life-changing.
I worked hard to get where I am now in this school.
But before his time as Ferris came to an end,
each day through my window,
Pope was already preparing to take on the role of the late Eddie Kendricks,
but it was just my imagination.
Co-founder of the Temptations. How were you able to pull that off?
It was a very difficult time because I was doing double duty, meaning I was in rehearsals from the morning 10 to about 6 during the day for Temptations, and then at night I'd run over to the theater to do Choir Boy. I didn't want there ever to be the excuse of, oh, Jeremy's doing 2 shows, so he's not able to fully commit. I didn't want that. I wanted it to seem like I was present in both places.
It's a level of discipline Pope carries with him even beyond the stage.
Trying to just preserve the gift to then be able to do it 8 times a week. So
is that why you're talking quietly?
Yeah,
because you're preserving your voice. Oh.
Yeah, by the end of the day, we need to be up to Eddie Kendricks falsettos. I feel like I look out to the house and, on one end you see the older couple kind of singing along and reminiscing. And then to my right, I see a young black boy who's looking up and finally seeing himself represented in a commercial, big Broadway hit.
And the Temptations still endure today. You can still go and see the Temptations.
It's funny because we get to Uncle O, we call him, but Otis Williams, the founding member of the Temptations. After rehearsal, he invited us to his hotel room. We sat there for 5 hours, and he told stories and just told us about what it is and what it ain't. He's here to pass on the torch and to, tell us how to be consistent and how to show up every night. It feels like a responsibility that I leave Jeremy behind and I show up for Eddie. To some people out there, they're getting to see Eddie one more time, and that's just such a beautiful thing.
It's truly a dream come true.
And it's also, so as you point out, a very physical role, too.
Yes.
I refuse to let you go.
We're dancing, we're moving, we're singing. But my boys, I have to give it up to my cast members in the show because it's the hardest show for all of us. It feels like a relay race, you know, and we have to show up for each other.
My girl,
Because I can't do my show without them. So we huddle up at the top of the show and we're like, you good, looking each other in the eyes, like what you need, like I'm feeling a little, and I'm like, I got you, you know, just
You
to
do
know
that every night, every show?
night. We hold each other and we just look each other in the eyes because we know that we can't do it without each other.
Boy.
So he's up for 2, as you know, 12 nominations for The Temptations and 4 for Choir Boy. But he gives a special shout out to his mom and dad.
Yeah.
His mom on opening night of Choir Boy. I love this story. They got a call that someone had passed out in the audience that night.
Wow.
Opening night, it was his mother. There she is, Toshi Chapman. She had passed out in the audience, guys. She was so nervous, she forgot to breathe. Wow. She forgot to breathe.
I want to say, a Broadway actor's job is incredibly hard.
Yes.
But the very idea that he was rehearsing for one show and
know.
showing up for another,
Yes.
I mean, that's incredible.
And giving it his all to both, Anthony, because he didn't want anybody to say, well, you know, he can't do it, he can't cut it. So
Yep.
cheering you on, Jeremy.
Really
Pope.
impressive.
Well done.
You can watch the 73rd Annual Tony Awards this Sunday, June 9th at 8, 7 Central, right here on CBS.